One day, while tending to the garden outside the home, Juma met a young man named Malik. He was a traveler, passing through the village on his way to explore the wider world. Malik was tall and strong, with kind eyes and a warm smile. When he saw Juma, he was struck by her beauty, but also by the sadness that seemed to linger in her gaze. Curious, Malik struck up a conversation with Juma, asking her about the garden and the home. Juma, who had grown used to the quiet solitude of the elderly home, was hesitant at first. But there was something about Malik that made her feel at ease. He was gentle and patient, listening intently as she spoke about the flowers she tended to, the stories of the elders, and the strange circumstances of her life. As they talked, Malik found himself drawn to Juma in a way he had never experienced before. There was a depth to her that went beyond her physical beauty, a wisdom and understanding that captivated him. He began visiting her every day, helping her with the garden and listening to her stories. The more time they spent together, the closer they became, until it was clear to both of them that they had fallen in love. But Juma was afraid. She knew that her life was not like others. She had been born old, and as she grew younger, she knew that there would come a time when she would revert back to infancy and, eventually, pass away. She feared what this would mean for Malik and for the life they could have together. She did not want to burden him with the knowledge of her fate. Malik, however, would not be dissuaded. He loved Juma deeply, and he was willing to face whatever challenges their future might hold. He reassured her that they would take each day as it came, cherishing the time they had together, no matter how short or long it might be. Juma and Malik were married in a simple ceremony, surrounded by the few remaining elders who still lived in the home. It was a joyous occasion, filled with laughter, music, and the blessings of the village. The villagers, who had once feared Juma, now celebrated her union with Malik, seeing in their love a testament to the power of the spirits and the mysteries of life. Together, Juma and Malik built a life filled with love, joy, and purpose. They traveled to nearby villages, sharing the wisdom of the elders and teaching others about the cycles of life and the importance of honoring one's ancestors. They worked the land, planting crops and tending to the gardens, and they built a home where they could live in peace. But as the years passed, Juma's transformation continued. While Malik aged as any man would, Juma grew younger and younger. Her once strong and beautiful body began to shrink, her smooth skin becoming softer and more delicate. Her hair, once thick and black, lightened to a soft brown and then to the fine, wispy hair of a child. Despite the changes, Malik's love for Juma never wavered. He cared for her with the same tenderness and devotion that he had shown from the beginning, even as she became more and more dependent on him. Juma, too, loved Malik with all her heart, cherishing each moment they had together, even as she felt herself slipping further and further back into childhood. One evening, as the sun set over the horizon, casting a warm, golden glow over the land, Juma lay in Malik's arms, now no more than a small child. Her eyes, though filled with the innocence of youth, still held the deep wisdom and love that had always defined her. Malik, now an old man, held her close, tears streaming down his face as he whispered words of love and comfort. Juma knew that her time was near. She could feel the pull of the spirits, calling her back to the world from which she had come. But she was not afraid. She had lived a life filled with love, had experienced the beauty and the pain of existence, and had found peace in the arms of the man she loved. As the last light of the day faded, Juma's breathing slowed, and she felt herself slipping away. She looked up at Malik, her tiny hand resting on his cheek, and smiled. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice soft and gentle. "Thank you for loving me, for giving me a life filled with joy and meaning." Malik's heart ached as he looked down at her, his hands trembling as he brushed a stray lock of hair from her forehead. "It is I who should thank you, Juma. You have been my light, my everything. I would not have traded a single moment with you for anything in this world." Juma's smile deepened, and she closed her eyes, feeling the warmth of Malik's love surround her. She felt at peace, knowing that their souls were forever connected, bound by the love they had shared. Slowly, she let go, surrendering to the pull of the spirits, her breathing becoming softer and softer until, finally, it ceased altogether. Malik held her close, his tears falling silently as he felt the weight of her tiny body in his arms. Though his heart was heavy with grief, he also felt a deep sense of gratitude. Juma had been a gift, a soul who had touched his life in a way that no one else ever could. She had taught him about love, about the beauty of life, and the inevitability of death. And though she was gone, her spirit would live on in his heart, a constant reminder of the love they had shared. In the days that followed, the villagers gathered to honor Juma's memory. They held a ceremony in the village square, where the elders and the villagers alike shared stories of her life, her wisdom, and the love she had brought to those around her. Malik, though weary with age, stood before them and spoke of the incredible journey he had shared with Juma. He told of how she had been born old and had grown younger with each passing year, and how, despite the strangeness of her life, she had lived with more grace and wisdom than anyone he had ever known. As the ceremony drew to a close, the villagers lit candles and placed them around a small baobab tree that had been planted in Juma's honor. The tree, a symbol of life and growth, stood as a reminder of the cycles of life that Juma had come to embody. The villagers sang songs of the ancestors, their voices rising into the night sky, carrying their love and prayers to the spirits. Malik returned to the home he had shared with Juma, now empty and quiet without her presence. But he did not feel alone. He knew that Juma's spirit was with him, watching over him as she had always done. He spent his days tending to the garden they had planted together, finding solace in the memories of their time together. Years passed, and Malik grew older and weaker, his body succumbing to the passage of time. But his love for Juma never faded. He would often sit by the baobab tree that had been planted in her memory, talking to her as if she were still there, sharing his thoughts and feelings, and finding comfort in the belief that they would one day be reunited. One evening, as the sun set in the sky, casting a warm, golden light over the land, Malik felt a sense of peace wash over him. He closed his eyes, and in that moment, he saw Juma, not as a child, but as the beautiful, wise woman he had fallen in love with all those years ago. She stood before him, her arms outstretched, her smile radiant and full of love. "Malik," she whispered, her voice like a gentle breeze. "It is time." With a contented sigh, Malik let go, his spirit rising to meet hers. They embraced, their souls intertwining, their love eternal. Together, they ascended into the realm of the spirits, where they would remain forever, watching over the village and the people they had loved.